You know, that's something that's always bugged me, is I feel like they've never let, or at least not in recent times, they've not let Warframes just be good at certain things. Related to, like, mission types, for example. One of the bigger examples of this is when they streamlined all healing towards defense targets. Now, pretty much every healing source, no matter which frame you are, restores the defense target back to just it basically just gives it 500 health over the course of 10 seconds. Regardless of which frame you are, whether it's Blessing or it's who knows what, your healing on defense targets is capped severely. So now there's no reason to bring supports to defense, because who gives a shit if their healing is meaningless when the defense target has like 800,000 HP and it loses 100,000 every hit. Like, it just doesn't matter. Another frame that is a huge victim of this is Banshee. Every time that content comes up where she would want to use her abilities, you know, deal a huge amount of single target damage, her abilities just don't work on that enemy or boss for some reason. So Banshee does nothing. And this is something that I feel like keeps happening and happening to the point where frame choice is irrelevant, kind of. Like, I understand not wanting to force people to play certain frames just to complete certain content, but there's a difference between content being doable by all frames and the frames not making a difference in the content. Like, you could keep Legacytes exactly as they are, except add Banshee into the mix, and, like, you can still do Legacytes, but they would go much faster if Banshee actually did what she was supposed to do to them. And that's part of what bothers me. Or with Legacy, like, oh, well, you can't slow them down by any means, they can't be CC'd, so why bring a CC frame? They're immune to most Warframe abilities in a DPS sense, so DPS doesn't do anything either. You literally just have to wail at it with your gun until its quote-unquote timer health bar runs out. And, like, obviously this is partially damage attenuation's fault, but it is leading to frame choice being completely inconsequential in a very bad way. And I really don't want to see that anymore. I want to feel rewarded, like, oh, I know this game's in its mechanics. I should be rewarded for, you know, making the right choice to pick this frame, or having this in my arsenal. I feel like I should be rewarded for doing that. And it once again pushes towards the homogeny of frames. Frames are all becoming the same DPS nukes with a different coat of paint, and don't really have any actual variety between them. Like, obviously there is superficially, but when you get down to it, it all winds up to, oh, can this Warframe DPS, yes or no? And then that decides whether or not you play it. Warframes that can't do the DPS are considered bad. And again, this all stems from them not letting certain interactions work on certain bosses. One of, I think, the most interesting times was early Face Off, when 1999 had just come out, right? One of the things that was interesting about Face Off is you had a couple Warframes that were, excelled at Face Off. Garuda, for instance, could kill the Tekrot Baobaos faster than normal because it could kill it below 40%. That you had the capacity to do that. And I think that that was cool. Tevagoth, I believe, also had this ability with his Spectre and his Death passive. I think that gave Sevagoth a unique niche. And then they just patched it all out, and now it doesn't matter who you pick in face-off anymore. Except, like, maybe Necros. I don't know, they might have patched that as well, from dropping the double gas cans. Like, granted, it is PvP, so I can understand balancing it for that reason, but from an otherwise game design perspective, it just feels terrible that every time we discover something unique or interesting to do with our frames, it is taken away from us in an obnoxious manner. Anyways, just wanted to focus on that for a minute. But I guess to make more examples, right? Back in Scarlet Spear, Limbo was nerfed for some reason because he apparently made the missions too easy. Well, sorry for picking a frame that hasn't done anything in like 5 years. My bad. Why are players punished for doing that? It is a repeated habit that people don't acknowledge, that players are punished for understanding Warframe mechanics and nuance and picking a frame that suits the mission type consistently over and over. And a lot of the times, these picks make the mission less miserable and much faster. But they go ahead and say, no, we're taking this toy away. You have to suffer. You have to suffer the same as everyone else. Because God forbid we make people consider their loadout, right? That would be horrible if we did that. We can't have that now, can we? We can't have Timmy Excalibur failing missions because he doesn't have this specific frame. Can't have that. God forbid his loadout matters. It is a consistent cycle that has just not gone away for whatever reason, and I've really never seen anyone acknowledge it. Like, they always pass it off as, oh, this is an unintended interaction, blah, 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 blah. But why? What made you decide that that was suddenly unintended? It is something that you knew was in the game, you knew to account for, and then you didn't do it, and then players exploit it, and then you take it away from us because, oops, we found out something about the game. Like, it really does boggle my mind that these things are just not accounted for and then taken away from us. I don't believe that. I believe that these are left on there and they think, oh, this mechanic that we, you know, didn't realize existed, oh, we can't have them doing that and making the mission easier. Like, I remember way back when frame choice did matter. When, oh, you needed the right CC. Oh, like, oh, you're doing a defense mission. Oh, you can bring Frost. You can bring Frost. And then he really, really helps, because then they can't shoot through the bubble. And that was great. That helped a lot back in the day. And, like, I guess that's still technically true for Star Chart level, but Frost's bubble is so weak and hard to scale that it doesn't really do anything more. Neither does Gara's wall. Gara's wall was a similar case where, oh, this is a really good, you know, that protects the defense objective. You can put, like, oh, a swordy defense target inside its, like, the little Gara baby gate, and now you don't have to worry about it. Problem solved. It discourages problem solving. Because we find the solution, and they say, oh, no, that's not the solution. You have to just do it the normal way. Why? Why do they keep doing that? Like I said, again, technically it still works, but again, not at the levels that it would matter. Where we actually would want to protect a defense target or a excavator from enemies, because one, they can just walk inside the bubble. There is an augment for that, but that's only a 50% chance to stop it, so why bother? Or you have to kill Frost's range, which also has the issue of, well, now Avalanche doesn't work, and that's an important part of its kit. And Gara's walls individually are not strong enough to keep enemies out. Healing doesn't work on defense targets because they're all capped at like 500 health for some reason. Like, God forbid Equinox's mend ability would actually matter. Like, I think it works on some mobile defense objectives, but stationary ones, absolutely not. We can't have that. It's one of the reasons why Eidolons were, I think, so popular, is because what you brought and what you did actually mattered, because you were on a time limit, so people sought to do them as fast as possible. Team composition matters for Eidolon, and, like, as much as I despise the sweaty elitism of, like, the sub-community that does those, they do have a point in validity for doing them the way that they do. Because the choices you make and your gameplay actually has an impact. Like, the way it's going, I feel like Warframe is almost a step away from becoming an on-rails shooter at times. Like, in certain things, like against attenuated bosses. Like, or not an on-rail shooter, but we are being railroaded, that's the better term for it, into certain means of actually playing.